Hey, how's it going? It's Neil Parfit here. Welcome to video number 6 of getting started with the ER-301 sound computer. The first 5 videos we've explored basic operation and signal flow. We've used the modules as an effects processor. We've used it as a subtractive oscillator. We've used it as a looper. We've used it as a sample playback rompler. We've tried some more elaborate sort of effect processing with like freeze delays and stutter sort of stuff. So I figured we'd try something new today. As of yesterday night with the firmware update, if there's a few new units in the list now. We have a sine wave oscillator as well as a ladder filter. And the sine wave oscillator caught my eye because this is actually, aside from the noise, this is the first onboard actual oscillator source that isn't sample based. So let's have some fun with this. I mean, let's try and make an FM voice, because all we need is a few sine wave oscillators as well as a few VCAs and a few envelope generators. And of course, we have that all in the list, as well as some other tools. So let's build one. The first thing I'm going to do on my outermost layer of out 1, I'm just going to insert a mixer. And the reason I'm doing this is because I just want to contain everything we do within this one mixer sort of unit blob, or whatever you want to call it. And then it just keeps things organized. So when I get out to the most parent level, I can see my main voices and my master effects for everything, and that's it, instead of having a mile-long list of stuff. So let's go into this mixer. We're within the mixer, and what do we need to get started? We need a VCA. So let's add that, VCA, and we also need a sine wave oscillator. Add that, and I'm just going to temporarily open up this VCA so we can hear this. You can't really hear this here, but this is literally a brown note in my studio because my monitors are pretty loud. I can feel that shaking the room. Let's turn that up. I'll set this the carrier oscillator to 204, let's say. And I'm just going to close the bias of this VCA and set it back to 0. And just like a traditional synth voice, I'm going to just go in here. I'm going to assign it an external gate signal from my Sputnik over here, which hopefully doesn't crash, which is triggering on D1 right here. And if I up my gain, we'll hear a spike. But obviously I want my VCA to be open longer than this little needlepoint wave, right? So we can go back in there, we can insert an ADSR right after it. So there's our initial, we don't have our pitch control set yet, but we just have a simple gate with an envelope feeding this, so we have just something to listen to that's not a constant static sound. All right, so what do we need to do now? We have our main oscillator. At this point, if we were working traditionally, we'd go at a volt per octave, and we'd go to the input assignment for that. And in this case, I'd assign it D2 because that's the pitch from my Sputnik. So, but in this case, I don't want to do that because I want to have a modulator within this volt, feeding this volt per octave, as well as our external volt per octave from the keyboard. So how do we accomplish this? Well, we need to insert 2 mixers to do this. So I'm going to add 2 mixer channels. So the first one I'm going to assign to my external 1 volt per octave CV source. So I'm going to hit that. I'm going to assign it to D2. And if I bring this up to unity, we'll start to get our pitch tracking. And you want this at unity for it to be exact. If you have it set to anything else, it's going to sort of fall apart and be all funny. So I have that, and we'll use this other mixer channel as our modulator oscillator. One thing to point out here, the cool thing is about having these in mixers is you can temporarily solo what you want to hear. So if I just want to work on the FM, I can just solo it and it will temporarily disengage my external CV signal because that mixer strip is muted, which is great. So let's try this. I'm going to go into this second mixer and I'm going to add a sine wave. Let's do that. And I'm going to set the base frequency of this to 408. So it's a multiple of the first one. And if I don't add a VCA here, technically this mixer channel is going to act as a VCA the more I turn it up. So let's take a listen. Cool. But we can't control this mixer volume externally. So let's go into this mixer strip and let's add another traditional VCA after it. We'll add a VCA. It's going to back out. Oh, I knew I adjusted that by accident. Okay, so here's our modulator oscillator, and here's the VCA for that. So if we assign an envelope to that VCA, let's do that. I'm going to use my same gate signal. It could be anything, but I'm just going to use the same arpeggiator gate just for this. And I'm going to insert an ADSR. And I'll just up these a little bit just for fun. If I turn up this VCA gain, it's kind of cool. Pretty drastic if you have these set a certain way. So the cool thing now is, let's say that's the maximum I'd ever want that FM to be. I can now back out, and now I can just adjust this mixer channel to taste. And if I unsolo this, it's going to merge in our 1 volt and octave CV source. So I can hear how this is going to work musically. So now that I have it, I could be like, you know what? I need the release of that envelope just a little bit longer. Or maybe I want it shorter. Well, that's a bit too chirpy. Cool thing about these envelopes is each one of these stages you could externally assign a CV source. So let me just grab a cable here. If I want to use this LS1 light strip to control the release, I'll put it into D3. I'll assign it D3. You can see it on the scope again. There you go, real time, there's no glitches. And the 301 tracks really well, like even at fast rates. Obviously, it's too fast for that release to fully finish, but so there we go. Very simple FM voice. And if for whatever reason I'm like, you know, maybe I don't want the FM anymore, I can just mute it. Another thing that you might run into is if it's really drastic. Let me just let's say the pitch gets a little bit too waver, like you can't figure out what the pitch is anymore. You could, after these two mixers, you could add an offset unit just to retune it if you needed to. So you can still go in and just correct it slightly if you needed to. Okay, now we've gotten a little bit more fantasy. I'm going to go to my actual VCA for like the actual carrier. Let's just Sounds kind of cool. So I'm going to back out all the way. So that whole thing now is just on this one mixer strip. So what could you do? You could save this as a preset. You could open up a few more mixers. You could load in the exact same thing. All your modulation and routing is already set. And then you could detune each one of them slightly. You could pan them off slightly. You could modify how drastic the FM is per voice, technically, and create like these really massive sounds. And at the end of it, as a global effect, I could say, you know, maybe I want that clock delay after that, so I can assign it a clock, which is my D1 pulse, set some divisions, and now we're in outer space. So there you go. There's a simple FM voice, one carrier, with one modulator, and just going back for